Howdy everyone, Poacher here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we are going to do the hero spotlight for Irizet, the boss, the leader of the Arachne, a long-awaited character. We thought we were going to get Bug Queen as the leader, but she's too big to fit on the field. I don't think they could have reworked her to fit into a squad. So we get this creature instead, this beautiful looking beast, which I did find out was a female. I thought it was a male. I really thought it was a male. But it's a female. So we'll jump in, we'll look at the abilities, we'll look at the stats, look at the animations, and we'll figure out whether or not this character has the potential to make the bugs a worthy faction within the game. A lot riding on this character's back. So we'll jump into it, look at the stats, go from there. Jumping into the stats, we have hit points at 3.8 million. And off the top of my head, I believe this is the character in the game to lead the way in hit points. I don't think there's anyone that beats 3.8 million. And in a stream I was doing the other day, we calculated that with Hylia on the team, this character has upwards of 10 million HP when at Arcane Star 7. So the health pool of this character, the potential of it is enormous, and it would be a very hard character to take out. Speed comes in at 290, getting very close to the 300 mark, so a very fast character. Armor 75k, magic damage resistance 61k, so both of them high as well. Basic magic damage is 279k, magic critical hit chance is 49%. So I mean, why not just round it off at a nice even 50, to be honest? And magic critical damage is 575k. So stats overall, very high. Very strong stats for a bug boss. But like I said, this character is going to have to carry the bugs. So it's not a surprise that she has been buffed immensely. She's very, very powerful. So you can look at the more in-depth stats as well. If you wish, feel free to stop it wherever you want and have a look at those stats. They're there for your viewing. And yeah, there you go. Okay, we will jump into the arena now, look at the animations, look at the abilities, and see how she could potentially be used. Moving into the arena, we have Irizet's basic Toxin. It triggers the boss class mark, deals magic damage to one target, casts character damage increased, debuff on the target. This target takes 35% more damage for the next 2 attacks. So it's okay. I mean, to be honest, it's not even okay. It's a bit less than okay. Compared to some of the basics we see these days, I feel like for a basic attack, this is subpar. It's not really doing anything great. But this character has a lot going on with her, so possibly just a regular basic attack that doesn't do anything flashy is a way of keeping this character in check. We're going to go ahead and use this ability against the old... Let's go Irazzt today, and we'll have a look at the animations. So, not expecting a lot, but yeah, just a big gooey bowl of slime blowing all over Izazd's face. Nothing fancy. There you go. He's got the debuff on him. He's going to take more damage now. The only reason why I say it's as bad as it is because in a fight, you're not going to be using the basic attack straight away. You've got your ultimate. You've got the ability. You have a minimum 2 specials to use. By the time you're getting up to the point where you're using a basic attack because of cooldowns, these days a fight's nearly almost over. Or there's just so many buffs and debuffs going on that an extra 35% damage isn't going to do anything significant. Overall, yeah, there you go. Basic attack. That's actually basic. Moving forward, we have the first special. Defiling Ray triggers the boss class mark, removes from the target all buffs that have been cast or have been cast. For each one, Irazzt. I'm just going to call it Irazzt. Wrong name, or whatever. Irizet deals 18% more damage. Deals magic damage to one target. Target cannot cast buffs on self for 3 turns. So, I like this. This is a really cool ability. It damages a target for having buffs on them and then removes all buffs or no, sorry, it doesn't remove. Yeah, it removes all buffs and then blocks buffs from being cast. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. It can be very powerful, especially with how many buffs are out. The only issue is the last part of the ability that casts the debuff to prevent the character from getting buffs is a debuff, so it can be removed. It'd be cool if it had one of those purple icons that prevents the debuff. It's not I think that's a new thing that they should definitely bring in, the purple debuff that cannot be removed by any means necessary. So we'll go ahead and use this against let's go Balthazar this time. So we'll look at the animations now. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, all right. It's a bit of a Kamehameha from Goku there. That's pretty cool. Didn't do a lot there because there's no buffs on the enemy, unfortunately. But there you go. You see the lockdown on him. He's not going to be able to buff himself. Overall, yeah, I like this. I think this is neat for the character. And it's just a lockdown. Lockdown's always good. Okay, getting into the spicy stuff, we have the second special ability, Glory to the Swarm. Casts on Irazzt and allied healers and casters the weak one buff for 3 turns. When Irizet and these allies are attacked, allied to Heat and Akrashat counterattack, other allied Raragni increase their initiative by 30%. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a protection. It punishes the enemy for attacking casters and healers, which are primarily AI-focused characters, unless, of course, it's the Beastman, because the AI has been worked to not hit Phoenix. This ability would kind of be cool if there was live PvP. I think live PvP would be too difficult to introduce into this game with the way characters work. But yeah, I think, this would be punishing if the AI is obviously going to go for the healer. If you've got Helia on the team, which I don't have here, unfortunately, but if you did have her on the team, the AI is going to target her. So this is just a way of protecting her. The next part of this ability is the fun part. Damage taken by allied Raragni is limited to 5% of their maximum HP for the next 10 enemy attacks. For all allied non-Raragni, damage is reduced by half. I think that's not meant to say reduced by half, because then that would be 2.5% of their max HP. It's doubled, so they would take 10% of their max HP, unless I'm reading it completely wrong or understanding it completely wrong. But there you go. So, yeah. You are not going to be able to do much to these characters. We'll go ahead and look at the ability. I'm going to go cast it. So how you would work around this is obviously characters that can remove debuffs, which Abaddon is actually one of those. He can block buffs, so that would get... We'll go ahead and just use our basic attacks on our characters and see them strike us if we can. Don't think Abaddon goes first. I hope he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, Abaddon should remove this. He's on a full dark team. The chances of him landing his ability is quite high, but we'll see if it's removed like I think it's going to be removed. Did it land? Oh no, it didn't hit. So I'm still in play. There you go. So yeah, this team becomes very, very tanky. Very tanky. I mean, look at that. The whole enemy team has gone through one round of... Oh no, it did land on Kashat. So as you can see, the buff has been removed. But everyone else, we've gone through one full round of attacks from the enemy, and they still have 8 stacks, 9 stacks of that damage reduction. This team probably is going to work best against enemy teams that cannot remove buffs. Just because it doesn't say... The buff doesn't even have a time limit on it. It's up until it's removed. So this is going to work well against teams that cannot remove debuffs. It's too early to tell. I have not tested this team, but potentially good against orcs. You know, orcs get very tough the lower their HP is. Maybe this is the same thing. This team's just going to take a... And the orcs can do a lot of damage. Your Chrome and your Lascari, they can whip out a lot of damage. So this may be a way of working around that. Druids can remove buffs. Blue Artists can remove buffs. The Dragonkin. I really can't see these guys beating Dragonkin. I really can't. But they have... Oh no, Dexar can remove buffs, I think. Beastmen can't remove buffs. So you could potentially use these against Beastmen. That'd be cool if this was a team that beat Beastmen. Beastmen are very strong. Even if a rundown team like this can beat them, then that's okay, because they do need a solid counter. There are some teams out there that do well against them, but having a team that could be a guaranteed 3-star win every time, no issues, you're going to welcome that with open arms. So, yeah, you just got to be careful who you're versing with this ability, because if the buff's removed, then it's useless. You're not going to really benefit at all. So those are your castable abilities. We'll move into the passive and the leadership now. Moving into the passive ability, Adaptation. If the HP of an allied Arachne goes below 50% of their maximum HP, then their ability timer is reduced by 1 turn. So I believe that works for all your abilities. If they're on cooldown, you drop below that 50% HP, you are going to have your cooldowns reduced. When an ally takes damage, so not even Arachne, when any ally takes damage, they'll cast on themselves the damage bonus buff, and for each one will deal 100% more damage. And yes, it does exactly what it says, for each one, which means this buff stacks. If you have a slow character on your team and it's buffing up and getting more and more damage, you're going to whip out, I believe, numbers we've probably never seen before. If you put this into perspective, let's take what tank can deal a lot of damage. Let's take the Archons, for example, because Magnus is able to apply a taunt if an enemy is dropped below a certain HP. He's able to get barrier, so he's able to take a lot of damage. He's not critable either, and he can do a lot of damage. So, right circumstances, if your enemy was hitting your Magnus over and over again, and he was stacking 100% damage, more damage, 200%, 300, 400, and his turn comes around, I just can't even imagine what type of numbers you're going to be hitting here. I really don't know how you could work this character into other teams, but I'm sure people will find a way. You could potentially chuck her into, have her as the leader. Oh, you don't even need her as the leader. It's a passive ability. It's a passive ability. It's not the leadership ability. So taking her out, I think passives work that way. I think taking them out. I think leadership persists through death. Passives don't. I think. I hope they don't. You could chuck her on a Bjorn lucky team. Oh, I mean, Bjorn doesn't need the extra damage. But imagine his Berserker mode with X amount of 100% damages on him. Oh, that's filthy. That's filthy, filthy, filthy. Finally, we have Irizet, whatever its name is, leadership ability, Metamorphosis. And this ability has a lot to it. So much more that a part of the ability isn't even mentioned in the description. So we'll go over everything so you understand what's going on. Cast the constant buff Metamorphosis on other allied Arachne. So this is a buff that cannot be removed. It is a buff that persists through Izarzt's death. So it's always on the allied Arachne. It's just not on Irizet. When an allied Arachne dies, a cocoon appears in their place with the same level rarity and equipment level. This ability's level is equal to Irizet's leader ability level. The cocoon's starting HP is 30% of its maximum amount. While the cocoon is alive, you can't resurrect the dead character. Cast the HP bonus buff on himself and allied Arachne, adding 70% to the max HP. So they get a huge HP bonus buff, I believe. Whatever. That's not the important part. They have a lot of HP, especially when you mix them with Helium. But part of the ability is not mentioned here, and that part of the ability is the cocoon itself and what the cocoons can do. So we're going to go ahead and let the enemy kill our characters here, and we'll move on to the cocoon and show you what the cocoon can do. The cocoon will have 2 abilities that you can cast. So we're going to spread our attack out here so they can kill our characters. Dodge, of course. That's good. That's what we want when we're trying for our characters to die. There we go. There's 1 cocoon. There's 2 cocoons. There's 3. Can we get a 4th? Go on. Get us a 4th. There we go. Okay, now we have 4 of these big green pulsing sacks on the field. So let's jump to 1. Now they have 2 abilities. Pretty unique. The first ability allows the cocoon to restore 20% of its max HP. If the cocoon's HP reaches 100%, it is destroyed, and in its place, the character that you had there, the Arachne, will come back to life at full HP. So, if you feel like you can wait, you can restore their full HP, and they'll come back to life. So we're going to go ahead and cast that so you guys can see. So it restores 20% HP. We'll cast it again, another 20% HP. Cast it again, another 20% HP, and one more time, and then my character comes back with full HP. Now, obviously, that takes a while. You have to go through 4 turns of casting this to restore the character's full HP and bring him back to life. The other ability, transformation, turn into a Arachne with the same percentage of HP as the cocoon. So if you do not have time to wait, you can hatch it earlier. However, it has the same HP as the cocoon had. So each character becomes, or has the ability to self-heal. You've just got to determine whether or not it's worth it. Do you have time to wait? Can you heal these characters? Or do you want to crack them out sooner and get your abilities ready to use? It's up to you. But the eggs almost act as their own character with 2 abilities on top of the leadership ability as well. So really cool. I think the ability to I thought originally the eggs just were on cooldown and they would hatch after a certain amount of turns, but given the player control over it, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. So I can't think of many situations where you're going to try and wait. I feel like you want to get these guys out, but a 20% heal is not anything to laugh about. That's a fairly strong HP, considering the egg comes back to life with 30% HP as well. Yeah, pretty decent. So, yeah, this character adds a lot of utility to the bugs. You could maybe get away with not even running Hylia, just because of the egg's ability to heal. It's a risky play, though. Again, this hasn't been tested. I have not tested these characters against any type of meta squad, so I'm unable to say what they're going to be strong against. But just going off what we've seen, you're definitely not going to be wanting to fight anyone that can remove buffs, because I feel like that 10 turns or 10 hits of only being able to take 5% of their max HP away is fairly strong. That's not something you want removed. That's going to be the bread and butter. It's going to allow you to get your abilities off before getting annihilated by characters that can just hit ridiculous amounts of damage. The bugs get a stupidly strong health pool now. Cast the HP bonus buff on himself and all allied Arachne, adding 70% to the max HP. That's a lot. That's a lot of HP. I don't think that's necessary. Not to that extent. I feel like with that massive defensive buff they get, yeah, it just feels like a lot of HP. So, yeah, like I said, mix it with Hylia as well. I think Hylia gives them like 20% to their max HP as well. So, you're looking at characters, them as a faction having the highest HP pool of any team working as one, I believe. I can't think off the top of my head any other faction that would beat that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that he or she is going to put the bugs into the meta scene. I think. We'll see. I could be completely wrong. I've been wrong before. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. And wherever you are in the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.